Hi, I am Licínio Lima from the University of Minho in Portugal, and I am going to join the 2017 Comparative Studies in Adult Education and Lifelong Learning Winter School during the first week. And I'm going to work with Paulo Guimarães and also Regina Egetenmeier. We will be discussing topics as an introduction to strategies and educational policy analysis. Now, the development of adult education policies through programs and activities is in general part of supranational, national, or even regional and local policies. Policies that support adult education programs and activities, among others, eventually including the setting of priorities of adult education policies, allowing the establishment of formal regulations, setting rules to funding to be provided to stakeholders, and finally allowing regulations of adult education occupations. The aims of our work during the first week will be to study a theoretical framework concerning adult education and lifelong learning policies in the European Union and also in other countries. And it also aims at raising awareness on adult education and lifelong learning policies and developing skills on analysis and interpretation of perspectives, programs and activities of adult education in Europe and outside Europe. Several concepts such as adult education, lifelong learning, public policies and strategies will be discussed during the first week of this winter school. Some analytical tools such as the multi-level analysis of policies will be stressed too. Additionally, a specific theoretical framework will be debated. Apart from a theoretical discussion, specific field visits to German adult education organizations will be organized and meetings with representatives of these institutions referring to activities devoted at adults will be held. Now, I would suggest that for the preparation of the winter school, and specifically for the preparation of this very first week, you could read the book by Lima and Guimarães, 2011, called European Strategies of Lifelong Learning, A Critical Introduction, and also the book chapter by Lima, Guimarães and Thomas, 2016, called Adult Learning and Education Policies in Germany, Portugal and Sweden. With a different status, we could recommend some optional readings, which may include the chapter by Lima and Guimarães, 2015, called Portugal, Policy and Adult Education, and also the two papers by Colin Griffin, 1999, with the following titles: Lifelong Learning and Social Democracy, which is the first one, and the second one, Lifelong Learning and Welfare Reform. After reading these texts, students are asked to achieve the following task. In light of each analytical model, and we are going to study three analytical models, the so-called democratic emancipatory model, the modernization and state control model, and finally the human resources management model, you start by defining the national, regional or local context of your search, and then find three different policies of adult education and learning that can be better interpreted by each of the three analytical policy models. This would be the very first task of your work. Then in a second moment, please choose at least one example that you consider of hybrid character and that you think may be better understood by working at least two of the analytical models, pointing out relevant aspects involved. Please do not forget to refer to the level of analysis that you have decided to choose. Finally, come back to this video presentation and listen to my colleague Paula Guimarães for a structural tutorial. And that's all. I wish you all a successful work. See you in Germany.
Hi, my name is Paula Guimarães. I'm from the University of Lisbon, Portugal. I will be joining the first week of the winter school with Licínio Lima and Regina Gantenmeier. Well, about the first week and considering the work Licínio Lima has suggested you to do, the tasks he has pointed out, I would like to call your attention upon the following. When choosing national policies to be debated during the first week, please consider the influence international organizations have on the definition, on the implementation and evaluation of such policies. International organizations such as the European Union, the OECD, the UNESCO, the World Bank, etc. What is the role of the state? And when I mean state, I refer to public departments, ministries, public organizations in the definition, in the implementation and evaluation of such policies and programs. And here I am referring mainly to the definition of the legal structure, to the legal documents that support these policies and the programs of adult education. What are the aims of such policies? What are the target groups? How is funding distributed among local promoters? And how are adult education lifelong learning policies, state programs, conceived, implemented and evaluated? So I wish you the best luck for your work and we will meet again in the first week of the winter school. See you soon.
Hi, I am Catarina from the University of Lisbon and I will participate in the next winter school in Würzburg. I intended to do the task suggested by Professor Licínio Lima by using the different levels of analysis and to identify how different levels of a specific policy. In this sense, I have two questions that I need to answer. How do I see the mega, macro, meso and micro levels of analysis in a policy I have chosen, the adult education and training policy under development from 2000 to 2011 in Portugal? To answer this question, I will draw a figure and identify different levels of analysis, mega, macro, meso and micro, considering the different adult education and lifelong learning policy implemented in Portugal. Considering to first level, the mega level, it specifies international organizations' influence, such as the European Union, in a specific after the release of the Memorandum of Lifelong Learning in 2000, and the Lisbon Strategy, which was important in the development of the building of the so-called knowledge society and the establishment of recognition of prior learning, the main form provision in Portugal. Most of the funding was given by the European Social Fund. One of the main aims was to the recognition of non-formal and informal learning. The macro level refers to the national level, such as the government, the state, the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Employment role, as well as the National Agency of Adult Education, which got different names from 1999 to 2011. These were the institutions in charge of adopting the adult education and training policy in Portugal in the referent period. The meso-level indicates local organizations, namely adult education, that provided recognition of prior learning. And the last level, the micro-level, refers to individuals or a small group of individuals in a particular social context. Considering our example, these are adult educators aware to new occupations that were created and adult learners attending recognition of prior learning, people that didn't achieve the compulsory education path. Concerning to the second questions, what are the relations among mega, macro, meso and micro levels of analysis of this text? Concerning to relations among the multiple levels of analysis, it is important to highlight the influence of international organizations in adult education and lifelong learning. In specific, the European Union in the establishment of a new forms of provision in adult education, such as a recognition of prior learning. The valuing of non-formal and informal learning was very important in the reference period for the European Union. The European Union was very important for the establishment of this new form of provision because it set guidelines and benchmarks such as the participation rate in lifelong learning that were later on followed by the Portuguese government. The government and the Ministry of Education and Ministry of Employment, as well as the Adult Education Agency, meanwhile, adopted this new form of provision, the recognition of prior learning. The National Agency of Adult Education was responsible for the guidance to adult education centers, providing recognition of prior learning. It regulated the work of adult educators and produced several guidance documents that adult learners had to follow when attending recognition of prior learning. It was also this agency that was giving diplomas to adult learners when they finish the recognition of prior learning process. At the meso level, recognition of prior learning was an innovative form of provision in Portugal implemented by local adult education centers located in many places. At the micro level, concerning adult educators, new occupations were created for this new form of provision. In specific, the technician of recognition, validation, and certification of competencies. This directly involved in recognition of prior learning. At the end, a large number of adult learners attended recognition of prior learning. At this level, we can observe the interaction between adult educators and adults in order to valorize adult experience and learning from non-formal and informal education settings. This relationship was kept different from the one formal education teachers had with adult learners in second chance education. This figure presents the adult education and training policy, including the different levels of analysis. The growing influence of international organizations in macro, meso, and micro levels needs to be stressed. The role of the states and national departments is to be highlighted too. Local adult education centers had a very important role in this policy by providing this new form of provision. At the micro level, both new adult educators and adult learners attending a form of provision that they didn't know before is to be also referred. Another point to stress refers to the complexity of causal relations among the different levels, as there is a higher influence between them. Well, I hope that this exercise will be useful for you, so I wish you good luck, good work, and see you in Würzburg.